Well, Happy New Year. It is almost 1 o'clock in the morning here in Kentucky. So if you're on the West Coast, it's not quite 2026 yet, but by the time anyone sees this, it will probably be middle of the day on the first of the year. Because I have to edit and then upload and timestamps if I decide to do that, which I probably will. So here's what I'm right now. I'm using my old setup, my camera that I've been using since I started doing these videos, my desktop microphone. I don't know what just happened there. The screen froze for a second. Anyway, this microphone. I bought a new camera. I mentioned that in a previous video, and I don't know how it's going to do. The box doesn't really show you anything. Oh, good. And I'm making all kinds of noise. It looks like this. So I'm going to get it set up. It is supposed to have its own microphone. I don't see one on here anywhere, but I may have to read instructions. Anyway, I don't know how long it's going to take me to get this set up and figure it out, but I wanted to do the rest of the video with my new camera, and I may end up having to use this mic if this one doesn't work for whatever reason, or if my computer doesn't recognize it, or if it's too far away, because this camera is going on top of my monitor. So anyway, I wanted to say Happy New Year first right off the bat, and then tell you guys what I'm doing, and hopefully the image will be better with my new camera. If it's not, then I've wasted however much I spent on it, but you know, you got to try. Anyway, I will be back with the new setup shortly, hopefully. Okay, we're back. This camera is supposed to have a ring light on it, and I am going to have to figure out how it works. It's just right around the lens, but it should light me up better. So I wanted to test the sound, and I will be back again. Hopefully I can figure out how to turn the light on around the camera. If not, then this is what the lighting's going to be like for the video. So I will be back again. Okay, I think this is as good as it's going to get. I figured it out. It's around the lens. You turn a dial and it softens or brightens the ring light that's around the lens. So I don't know if that's any better or if it's going to be any better. Anyway, okay, so I wanted to tell you guys Happy New Year. I also, just for the heck of it, wanted to, instead of talking about things that, you know, I can't do anything about, I thought I would tell you guys about a music artist, and he's not, just for something different, you know. I've watched so many videos of reactions to this particular video that I'm going to link down below so you guys can watch it. I want to see what you think. He's not a normal, it's not like normal singing. It's more like this particular song, if you want to call it that, is more like a performance art. So maybe go into it with that in mind. He does perform, but he does busking, which if you live in the UK, he's from Wales, and it's like street performing. And so that's the majority of how he does, how he performs. He doesn't do stadiums or any of that kind of stuff. There's reasons for that. I don't want to go into too much. I don't want to tell you too much of his history, but I will say that I think it was about 10 years ago. And the song that I'm going to link for you guys down below was done 2 years ago, but I just found this guy. It was a suggestion on YouTube, and I watched it, and I was like, oh crap, this is amazing, you know. He digs, there's deep meaning in all the stuff that he does. this he is unbelievably talented. And so like 10 years ago or ish, I don't know all of the exact details, he got sick and he was misdiagnosed, and it went on for years. The misdiagnosis, he had Lyme disease. A doctor finally figured out what was actually wrong with him. In the meantime, they were treating him for psychosis and all kinds of mental health issues that he didn't actually, they were being caused by the Lyme disease. So, because of all the meds that he was on, that screwed him up. And so he recently, I guess, had some stem cell treatment, and that seems to be helping. He is very particular about his diet and specific foods, and if he introduces a new food, he has to watch how his body's going to react to it. Um, anyway, so that's kind of his history, and just very briefly, he is so talented. I have watched this particular video, and I am not kidding you, at least probably 30 times. What I would suggest is watch it the first time and watch him and listen to the lyrics. And then the second time, because I'm going to link you guys to the video that has the lyrics at the bottom, but I want you to watch the video first. And then the second time, go back and read the lyrics while you're watching the video, if that makes sense. There are some very powerful lyrics in this song, and it has made me cry many times. And I have watched so many reaction videos to this song, and apparently a lot of other people have done the same thing, because others want to know how other people are reacting to this, if it's affecting others like it's affecting them, or me. Because again, I've watched so many reaction videos, because it's a curiosity to see if other people are going to glean from it the same message that you get from it. It's powerful, and the guy is just brilliant. Anyway, his name is Ren, and the song, or the performance, I'm going to call it performance art, because that's really what it is. I mean, it's a song, but it's not, and there's a lot going on in it. Oh, and he did it live, so keep that in mind too. It was done live in one take. They had several cameras going at the same time, and a boom overhead, but he is wearing a mic on the front of his shirt too, and you'll be able to see that. Anyway, I think this guy is amazing, and he's got some other stuff that he has put out, but I want to see what you guys think about this, and it's good. Some of his other stuff really will get you too if you watch any of his other videos. But because of his health, he can't really go on tour like a normal musician would be able to do. And I don't know if he would anyway, because he's more of he talks about social issues more than maybe other artists would, with their music. And so he does rap, he does, and you'll hear some of that. And I'm not a rap kind of person. I've never been crazy about it. Some of it, like Eminem, some of his, and there's a couple of other artists that, I can listen to it and get something out of it. But for the most part, I have not ever been a fan of rap. But he does rap a little bit, but you don't even notice it. It's the way that he does it, and how and what he's talking about, and the you'll see if you watch it. Anyway, that's enough about Ren. I want you guys to watch it and see what you think, and then let me know what you think. I think he's amazing, and so I wanted to share something new with you guys in the new year that might be inspirational in some way. Anyway, okay, so the rest of the video is going to be my solds, and these are from the 8th of November through the 25th of December. I closed my store, my eBay store, on the 15th, but I had a couple more sales and the people just had to wait for the items to ship, and I did ship them. But I still have not reopened my store. So, that it is what it is. Anyway, I'm going to get into this. It's going to be a lot because I had over 50 just on eBay, and then I also had some sales, I think 19 items on Facebook Marketplace. After I closed my eBay store, I put some things on Facebook Marketplace, and we'll get to those after I do my eBay sales. Anyway, I'm going to try and crank these out quickly so that this video doesn't drag on for too long. I'm sure it's going to be like an hour just because of all the yapping that I've done, but I haven't seen you guys in a while, so maybe you can watch this in parts or whatever, and I will have timestamps in so you guys can skip ahead if you want to or whatever. Anyway, that's that, and let's get into the sales, and these are starting on November 8th, so, and then moving forward through December. Okay, the first item was rare Ray Dunn stainless steel measuring spoons. They had a marble print stoneware handles. They were very unique. Anyway, they sold for $12. Buyer paid $7.22 in shipping. The next item I sold, and I don't remember what I paid for those. I think I paid $3 or $4 for them, and they sold for $12. So the next item I sold was a small metal iron crab sculpture. It was David Lesser. It was signed by the artist. I do not remember off the top of my head what I paid for it. It sold for $6.80. I was running sales like crazy for all of these. All these items sold. 99% of them were on sale. So you'll see the prices. Anyway, it sold for $6.80. Shipping paid was $6.12. The next item I sold was a two-sided early provincial hand-painted rooster vase made in Japan, and the maker name was it's like an acronym, but it's UCAGCO. Ukagco, I don't know. Anyway, it sold for $10, and the buyer paid $7.48 in shipping. And I think I paid $1 or $2 for it at a yard sale. The next item I sold was a Susan Lordy willow tree figurine, little green apple surprise, sold for $8, and the buyer paid $6.91 in shipping. And I think this was $1, that figurine. The next item was free. I got it free at an estate sale. Somebody didn't want some of the stuff they'd won in the auction, and they left it on the counter, and I went ahead and took them, and they sold. So sledding snowmen, salt and pepper shakers with stoppers. They were a Hallmark product. Sold for $6, and the buyer paid $7.35 in shipping. The next item I sold was a Honey Bunny Cocktail Cruise resin figurine from Carlton Cards. It was vintage. Little bitty thing. Very tiny. It was super cute. I think I paid $1 for it at a yard sale. Not positive, but anyway, it sold for $6, and the buyer paid $6.61 in shipping. The next one was a Party Light 2008 Fall Rustic Villa decorative candle shade and tray. The picture doesn't really do it any justice. You really can't tell what it is, but it's a tray, and it's got an amber shade glass that goes over it. Got it at a yard sale, and I think I paid $1 for it. Sold it for $12, and shipping was $7.50. The next item was a decorative hand-turned live edge walnut bowl, and it had 2 holes in it for hanging. There was a little tiny hole on each end. It was 5 inches by 2.5 inches. I got this at a rummage sale from a church. I think I paid 50 cents for it, maybe $1 at the most. I sold it for $7, and they paid $7.12 in shipping. I don't understand these shipping rates because it wasn't heavy, and it went in a tiny box, and it still was $7 for whatever. USPS is out of control, and nobody else is any better. So the next item I sold was a vintage Heartland molded Sacred Heart Jesus and Immaculate Mary Catholic figurines. These were little, it's like an acrylic plastic kind of, just, you could tell they were like from the 60s. Anyway, the pair sold for $10, and the buyer paid $6.46 in shipping, and I paid maybe $1 for both of them. So the next item I sold was a figural rooster lidded treats jar ceramic farmhouse cottage is how I had it listed. It was 6 inches tall. Do not remember what I paid for this, maybe $1. Anyway, it sold for $8, and shipping was $8.42. The next item I sold was a Boyd's Bears Lifetimes The Miracle of Life expectant bear couple figurine. Was 5 inches tall, really cute. I paid maybe $1 for it. Sold for $9.50. Shipping paid was $9.73. It was solid resin, super heavy. So that shipping made sense, and it wasn't super big, but it was heavy. The next item I sold was a hand spun glass Christmas tree with gold star and bulbs. It was about 7 inches tall. It did have a break on the bottom row in the back. There were a couple branches missing. I still got $7 for it, and the buyer paid $8.11 in shipping. The next buyer was my BFF in Florida. Thanks, Anne. She decided to go shopping, and she purchased 2 items from me. Vintage snowy owl figurine, glass eyes, 4¼ inches, stone critters. It was hand painted. That was $4.50. And then there was an artisanate, I can't say this word. It was a Doberman dog figurine. I'm not even going to say the name of the maker because I can't. It's too many consonants next to each other, and I can't. Uruguay stoneware pottery, sold for $9. So those 2 items were $13.50. eBay charged her $16.03 in shipping. Of course, I refunded her. I don't even know, a good chunk. Anyway, thanks again, Anne. And let's see. Okay, next was a package of Angry Birds Heroes and Hatchlings. The package was distressed. It had some damage. It was 7 pieces, minifigurine set. I paid maybe $1 for it. Sold it for $16, and shipping paid was $7.16. The next item I sold was an antique Persian polo micro mosaic trinket box. It was about 6.5 inches by 3.5 inches by 2 inches high. This thing was old, and it was starting to crumble. It was not in great shape, but it was very antique. I've had this listed for over 2 years. It has just sat there, and I've reduced the price. It finally sold for $8.50, and the buyer paid $11.12 in shipping. I'm just glad someone finally bought it. I thought it was really cool, but not everybody thinks the same things are cool. So, and I'm surprised sometimes by the things that people buy. You just never know. The next item I picked up at a church rummage sale, deco pack of cupcake cake toppers. They were the little spiky things that you can put in the top of cupcakes. It said Merry Christmas with holly, and it was a bag of 144 of them, and they were red and green. I paid 50 cents or $1 for the bag. I sold them for $8.50, and the buyer paid $6.33 in shipping. The next item I sold was a brass bud vase, 7 3/4 inches, bronze and gold, etched floral design, India. Sold for $10, and the buyer paid $7.34 in shipping. The next item I sold was a MCM ceramic ashtray, red crowned cranes, glazed seashells, and fans, China, vintage, 5.5 inches. It's how I had it listed. I have had this ashtray in my store for over 2 years. It has, and I didn't want to get rid of it because I thought it was really cool. It was so pretty. It didn't look like it was ever used. It didn't even really look like an ashtray, Anyway, it looked like a piece of art. And it finally sold for $5.85, and the buyer paid $7.48 in shipping. She was very happy with it. She left me really good feedback. She said that it was so pretty in person, that it was better in person than the photos. I couldn't do it justice with the photos. And you know me with my photos. I try to take really decent photos, but you could not with this item. It was very pretty. Anyway, I'm glad it sold. I'm glad someone's enjoying it. Finally. The next item I sold was a rooster quartz clock resin. He was crowing, and it was about 9 inches tall, farmhouse decor. I posted a video showing that it worked. sold for $11.70, and buyer paid $8.42 in shipping. And I think I paid $1 or $2 for it. I don't even know. Not that much. Next item. This finally sold. It was the Cracker Barrel Red Barn Cookie Jar and Tractor Salt and Pepper Shakers. It was in the box. You could tell it had never been used. Finally sold. I think I paid $5 for it at a yard sale. It sold for $24, and the buyer paid $18.20 in shipping. I have not gotten feedback, but it's been a while. So this was back early December. Next item I sold was a set of 8 black African American figurines. They looked like snow babies. They were little cherubs, but they were black. And anyway, I think I paid $5 for them at a yard sale. I cannot remember for sure. I had a list with all of my cost of goods, but I'm not looking at it right now, which is why I keep telling you guys I can't remember. I didn't know. I knew the cost of goods when I figured out all my numbers at the end, but I've deleted that column so that I can see everything while I'm talking to you guys. Anyway, sold them for $9.78, and the buyer paid $7.48 in shipping. So I did not make much on those, but at least they sold. The next item was a Rock and Roll The Herd by Martha Carey. It was an elephant's resin figurine, super cute. I cannot remember. Oh, I got those from the guy that buys the storage unit, so maybe paid $1 for it. Sold for $8.50, and the buyer paid $6.90 in shipping. Super heavy item, but it wasn't going very far, if I'm remembering correctly. The next item I sold was a Camelot Frogs King Ribbit figurine from 1996 Hamilton collection, sold for $8.50, and the buyer paid $6.90 in shipping. This came in a lot of frog things that I got from a woman off of Facebook Marketplace months ago. And I think I paid her $5 for everything, maybe 10. I don't remember. There were a lot of figurines and things. I've still got a box with stuff that I haven't even listed yet. So the next item I sold, and these came from Arizona with me, Neiman Marcus Christmas Nutcracker Snow Globe Salt and Pepper Shakers, sold for $9, and the buyer paid $8.47 in shipping. They were quite heavy for a little thing. Next item I sold was an Egyptian Apis bull on sledge bronze with patina finish. It was a little bitty thing. It was only 2.5 inches by 2 inches. Sold for $25.50, and the buyer paid $7.20 in shipping. I think I could have sold it for more, but I just was trying to get rid of stuff, you know. Next item I sold, and this has been listed for quite a while, was a vintage Mare and Foal figurine Bisque horses, masterpiece by Home Co. Sold for $8.50, and shipping paid was $7.91. Let's see. These next 2 items were purchased by the same person. I don't know who this was. Wasn't a viewer. It was a musical revolving train, Christmas Village. This one also played 10 songs. Sold for $14, and if I could talk, the same person purchased Christmas Village figures resin assortment lot of 11 vintage pieces for $12. So they spent $26, and the shipping was $16.66. I know I refunded them something. I can't remember what though. So the next item I sold was a Boyd's Bear Jack McVine Pick of the Patch Fall Candle Topper for $4.97, and the buyer paid $6.91 in shipping. The next item I sold was a Christmas tree candy jar, vintage Martha Stewart from Macy's. It was Macy's exclusive, 9 inches tall, sold for $7.20, and buyer paid $7.91 in shipping. I've had this listed for about a year and a half, so really long time, and I kept lowering the price. I was very surprised it didn't sell sooner. Next item I sold was a ceramic ensemble snowman stacked. sugar bowl, creamer, salt and pepper shakers. It was a whole thing in one snowman. I paid $1 for it at a yard sale. It sold for $8.55, and the buyer paid $7.48 in shipping. The next item I sold. I may be missing some items here, so if I do, I will put them in at the end with a photo and what they sold for. I won't know until I go back and match up the photos with the video. And if I have extra photos that I know I missed something, I will have to throw it in at the end. So just, and I'll have a timestamp if that happens. Okay, the next item was purchased by a viewer. Thank you, Mary. Jim Shore, 2008 Snow Woman, Not a Flake Out of Place. It was so cute. Really cute statue or sculpture. Sold for $8.91. And shipping paid was $7.48. This next item, I don't know if it was a viewer or not because they sent me a message and said happy holidays or thank you or something. And I have a feeling it's a viewer, but they didn't respond. I wrote to them and I asked if they were a viewer because people don't normally do that. And anyway, the initials are JL. So if there's a JL out there and you're watching, thank you. If not, they were just a nice person that said thank you. It was a Moroccan spice pillar candle holder, a party light product, 5 inches tall, and it sold for $5.67. And shipping paid was $12.17. It was heavy, like super heavy. Let's see. Next item I sold was an amber beaded glass clip-on lampshade. And this came in a box with a bunch of owl stuff that I got from someone on Facebook Marketplace. Anyway, I didn't even pay anything for it. It was just thrown in the box. Sold for $5.98, and the buyer paid $8.20 in shipping. And the next item I sold was a hand-carved Tagua nut polar bear figurine, 2 inches, little tiny thing, super cute. I paid about $1 for it. It was part of that lot that I got from an estate sale, and it was just all the stuff on a couple of shelves. And I don't even remember what I paid for everything, but $1 at the most. Anyway, it sold for $8, and the buyer paid $5.90 in shipping. Next item was a vintage chalice goblet, silver plate, brass etched world gift, WCG India. That's how I had it listed. 5.8 inches. This has been listed for a long time. I moved the words around. I did all the things, relisted it, changed the photos, whatever. Finally sold for $8.50, and the buyer paid $7.59 in shipping. We are getting there for the eBay stuff. I think I'm about 2/3 of the way done. Trying to hurry. I'm not good at that. I always have stories. Trying not to do that. The next item was 2 frosted glass reindeer figurines, standing and resting, mouth blown. I think I paid $5 for these at a yard sale. They were not selling. Like, no one was interested. They finally sold for $6.51, and the buyer paid $7.29 in shipping. The next item, this was Rose. Thank you, Rose. She purchased a scarlet small crossbody bag. Scarleton small crossbody bag. It's late. It's almost 2:30 in the morning now. Here. Let's see. Very soft vegan leather, new with tags. This is something that I got from that person whose roommate used to sell on eBay. It was just thrown in with all the other stuff. So I paid maybe $1 for it. Sold for $8, and the shipping was $7.92. And it almost didn't get to her. It was late, and it got delivered to someone else's house, like a few streets over. Fortunately, the person took it to her house and gave it to her. So, we got lucky. The next item I sold, and thanks again, Rose. Next item I sold was 2 blue and white floral chintz ceramic cat figurines, 6.5 inches tall. Sold for $9.23. and shipping was $10.83. I don't think I made any money on those, so, but they're gone. The next item I sold was a 2002 Snow Buddies figurine, Shop Till You Drop, Encore Group. It was an Avon product. Sold for $6, and the buyer paid $7.59 in shipping. I think I got that in one of the Snow Baby lots that I purchased. It was just a random thing that was thrown in, so maybe $1. The next item I sold was a small vintage brass wall pocket vase planter etched enamel paint. It was little. It was less than 4 inches tall. Sold for $5.50, and the buyer paid $8.20, and I cannot remember where I got it. The next item I sold, and this was in that giant green tote that I bought from that guy that does the storage rooms. It was in there, and I sorted everything out. You guys, if you watched that video, you went through the tote with me. Anyway, this was a lot of 7 gingerbread plush. So it was just all the gingerbread plush. You guys will see a picture. Anyway, they were 4 3/4 inches to 8.5 inches tall. Sold them all together, $10.20, and the buyer paid $9.81 in shipping. And the next item I sold, so that was good that I made some of the money back on that giant tote. Next item was a vintage Avon 70s Victoriana jadeite green milk glass pitcher with stopper and bowl. Sold for $6.30, and the buyer paid $7.48 in shipping. I think I paid maybe $1 for it at a yard sale. I can't remember. The next item, and this also from that giant green tote, was a lot of 16 gingerbread and candy themed Christmas ornaments. Most of the ornaments were Kurt Adler. Buyer paid $20, and shipping paid was $7.40. This buyer came back and bought another item from me, or a couple more ornaments. We'll get to that. Anyway, after she had received the first batch, she came back and bought more. Next item I sold, and this was mine, was a vintage Disney Parks Haunted Mansion resin doorbell plaque. Rare, and it is. I couldn't find another one listed anywhere for sale. Sold for $21.25, and the buyer paid $6.33 in shipping. I used this doorbell plaque when I lived in the duplex. If you guys have been around, I've talked about places that I've lived and stuff. When I lived in the duplex, I could have my own doorbell. So I used double-sided, that 3M stuff, to stick it on the brick wall outside my door. And then I bought a doorbell at the dollar store and clipped off the actual doorbell part. And I attached the wires to the back of this thing, because it had the little doorbell part, the round doorbell part, and it had the mechanics on the back of it, the thing that you attach the wire to. So I strung, wired that, and then I put the black electrical tape over it, and then I took the string and ran it inside. It was very tiny, a very tiny cord, went inside past my door frame, but because it was so small, it didn't get mushed by the door or the screen door. And I mounted the doorbell sound box on the inside of my apartment so people could ring my doorbell. It was pretty awesome. Anyway, I can't ever use it again, so I went ahead and sold it. So you got a story with that one. Again, $21.25, and the buyer paid $6.33 in shipping. The next item I sold, and these were from that green tote. 12 cobblestone corners, village light up houses and accessories. You guys will see a picture. There was just a bunch of stuff. And anyway, I listed it, and it sold within a couple hours. Sold for $30, and the buyer paid $8.22 in shipping. They were not heavy. It was a big box. But I believe they were in Ohio, so it didn't even have to go very far. But yeah, $8.22 shipping, which was really good. The guy bought it for his wife. He said she has little villages all over the living room. So I'm glad someone will enjoy it. And I made all of my money back from that tote. So yay. Let's see. The next item I sold was a vintage Mother Mary with baby Jesus bisque planter. Had little pink roses on it. It was very pretty. Sold for $5.94, and the buyer paid $7.48 in shipping. I made no money on that. This was one of the things that I purchased from that woman, where she sat in her garage and price checked everything. Everything, like every single item. I should have walked away. You guys, if you've been around, you saw the video, so but at least I made some money back from her on that. The next item I sold was a lighted clay dough gingerbread house. Was not working. Looked like a Kurt Adler product. Anyway, it sold for $5, not working, and the buyer paid $7.48 in shipping. The next item I sold, and this was to the woman that bought all of those ornaments, the gingerbread, was 2 Kurt Adler cupcake snowman and gingerbread ornaments, 4 inches tall. She paid $6 for those and $7.22 in shipping. The next item, we're getting so close. We're so close, and then I'll get to the Facebook stuff. The next item I sold was a vintage porcelain yellow rose fairy music box. Plays Au clair de la lune. It was an UNESCO music box from 1988, and it sold for $8, and the buyer paid $8.42 in shipping. And I cannot remember where I got it. I think in that lot. So it was in that lot of stuff from the estate. Anyway, so I paid maybe $1 for it, and it sold for $8, so that's not too bad. Next item, Fitz and Floyd Elves Sugar and Creamer with Spoon Happy Holidays 2004 in the original box. I dragged this with me from Arizona. I thought for sure these would do better than they ended up doing, but Fitz and Floyd is not doing as well as it was a couple of years ago. I don't know if the market has just gotten flooded with it or what, but anyway, they sold for $5.70, and the buyer paid $18.20 in shipping. I do not know if they actually paid that. I may have refunded, because I don't understand why it would have been that much. It was heavy, but it wasn't. Maybe they're on the other side of the country. I don't know. Anyway, 4 more things. We're almost there. How long have we? 37 minutes already. Okay. Christmas holiday 4x6 photo frame and a photo holder and 3 photo ornaments. And they were new without a box. I bought these at a yard sale, and it had been raining, so the boxes were just destroyed. I do not remember what I paid for them, but I don't think I may have made my money back. They sold for $6, and the buyer paid $9.33 in shipping. They were heavy, and pewter, so that's why they were heavy. The next item I sold was a birdhouse church-style wood and wooden metal, distressed, rustic, 11.5 inches tall. This was in that green tote. This is that church birdhouse that I showed you guys. It was one of the first things I pulled out of the tote in that video, I think. Anyway, it sold for $16, and the buyer paid $7.48 in shipping, and it didn't take very long for it to sell either, so that was good. The next item I sold was a frosted glass rocking horse with gold star, Silvestri, hand-blown 6.5 inches, sold for $8, and the buyer paid $9.81 in shipping. We're almost there. Okay, the last item sold on eBay for the year was a pair of owl votive candle holders. They were Yankee Candle, 3 3/4 inches tall. It was a set of 2, sold for $8, and the buyer paid $7.40 in shipping. So, to break all of this down, this is just eBay. I'm going to tell you guys about the Facebook stuff in a minute here. My total sales with tax and shipping and everything else that eBay likes to throw in there was $1,066.51. And again, this is from the 8th of November through the middle of December. So, let's see. Minus the eBay fees of $151.87, minus shipping I paid of $395.74, and my cost of goods were $150, about $150 for all the stuff. So my profit was about $368.90. And again, this was from the 8th of November through the middle. It was almost a month, but not quite. 8th of November through the 15th. Well, it was actually the 25th. So, because I did have a couple straggler sales that came in after I closed my store. So, it was okay. I did all right, but it wasn't fourth quarter like you would expect, I actually think I did better on Facebook in the short amount of time that I was selling on Facebook. I've still got stuff listed there, but I'm just talking about from when I closed my eBay store and started selling my stuff on Facebook until yesterday. That's the sales I'm going to tell you guys about. So anyway, $368.90 profit ish for that time period. So the Facebook items, I'll tell you about each one, and then I'll tell you now. The total sales for Facebook were $170, and that was probably a 2-week period at the most. Cost of goods was about $60 for those items, and so my profit was about $110. So, do the math. I think Facebook, but it was people, I could tell it was people buying stuff for the holidays. So, okay, so I've got my images over here so I can tell you guys what I sold on Facebook. The first thing I sold was an animated musical Christmas village. This thing was big. I think I paid $5 for it at a yard sale. It sold for $10, and I'm selling things for cash. I did have a couple people that wanted to Venmo me, and so they did, and I think Venmo charges me for if I want to, when I withdraw the money or when I get the payment. I can't remember, but I got a $2 charge on one of them. So now if somebody wants to Venmo me, they got to pay it, Anyway, so it was a musical animated Christmas village, really cute, very vintage, and it sold for $10. The next item was a blue and white Asian jug. This I've had listed off and on for over a year and a half, and just nobody. And so it ended up selling for $10 on Facebook Marketplace. The next item I sold, and these items were listed separately in my eBay store for over a year. They came from Arizona. One was a canister, and it was very Native American looking. And then 2 bookends, but they kind of matched. So I put them together, put them on Facebook Marketplace, and they sold for $15. I was going to get rid of them. So, anyway, they sold for $15. The next item, and this is something else I had listed, it never sold, Fitz and Floyd plate, just for like snacks or whatever, $5, sold for $5. So I think I broke even on that one. But I made my money back at least. It didn't get just donated or thrown away or whatever. The next item I sold was a gold Imari prunus jar. It was big. I think it was about 11.5, 12 inches tall. Sold for $25, Facebook Marketplace. The next item I sold was a Holstein Cows sugar bowl and creamer set. Sold those for $5. The next item I sold was a lot of 6 pieces of Lennox, and Lennox is just not doing great for me anyway on eBay. I've had all of these items listed separately. I listed some of them together. It just was not happening, and anyway, they sold for $20 on Facebook Marketplace. So they're gone. Someone's enjoying them, and I made some money. The next item I sold was 2 Starbucks Christmas holly mugs, and they sold for $5. And again, an item that's been listed for a very long time, off and on in my store on eBay, never selling. We're going to get donated or sold at a yard sale if we ever had one, or at the flea market. Sold them for $5. So next item I sold was a music box angel with puppy. She was gotten from the guy that has all the storage units, or does the storage units. So I paid maybe $1 for her. She sold for $10. And these people are all coming to pick their items up too. I'm not driving and meeting anybody because I'm not for $5. I'm not driving anywhere. I'm not wasting my gas. I just put in pickup only, cash only, and if they want to, then they do. And some people do, so it's fine. So I'm not using any gas doing this either. I did meet one lady, but there was, reasons. And I didn't have to go very far, and I was out anyway, so it didn't really matter. The next item I sold was a music box kitten. This is something I got from that woman that stuck prices, price checked every single thing. I paid $5 for it, but I made the $5 back. So, yay. The next item I picked these items. It's a nativity set. They were little bitty guys, super cute. I bought them at a yard sale, and I believe in Arizona. I believe this is when I was still back in Arizona. I've had them listed off and on for over a year now, and they never sold. Put them on Facebook Marketplace, and I had them listed for $5. The guy came and got them, and he left me 10. So, and I thanked him, and I tell people I need, you need the exact change, because I don't even go outside and meet them most of the time. Most of the time, I have them contact me when they're on their way or they're getting ready to leave, and I give them the address. I put the item or items in a blue Kroger grocery store bag, so it kind of stands out a little bit. Put the item in the bag, stick it outside the garage door, close to the stairs in front of the house. So the cars are kind of blocking. You can't really see it unless you're looking for it. And after they pick up the bag, then they leave the money under the windshield wiper on my car. So I don't even see most of these people, so it's really nice. And it's not enough. Nothing has sold for enough that I was going to stress over it if for some reason they didn't leave the money. Do you know what I mean? The only thing was the $20 gold Amari Prunus jar or $25. I wasn't worried about it, and it was big, and I didn't want to. It's cold right now, so I'm not sitting outside to meet anybody if I don't have to. Anyway, so the nativity sold for actually 10. The next item I sold, and I sold 2 of these, but they were different. The first rooster salt and pepper holder sold for 5. And then I remembered I had another one, so I went looking for it, because I have these listed in my eBay store also. Never sold either one of them. Had watchers, people looking, but they never sold. I sold both of them $5 each. The second one was a little more rustic looking, but yeah, they both sold for 5 each. The next item was a sake set, terracotta, hand painted, very pretty. I bought it at a yard sale in Arizona. Has been in my store forever. No one ever bought it. Sold it for $5. So I made my money back. Most of these sales were items that I could not get rid of in my eBay store, and I sold to people on Facebook Marketplace. Just so much easier. I didn't have to use boxes, no packing materials, nothing. The next item I sold was that tree keeper, that giant green tote. Sold it for $20. I had it listed. I started at 30, and then I marked it down, and this I had listed, I think, before I closed my eBay store, because I knew I wasn't going to ship this thing to anybody. It had a metal frame on the inside of it. I was not taking it all the way apart. So anyway, it sold for 20. So I totally made my money back on that tote with all the sales of the stuff that was in it. I've probably made $30 profit from that, and I think everything is gone now that I got out of it. There might be 1 or 2 things left, but not much. The next item I sold was $5 for a tree skirt and stockings, and I got these at a yard sale, and I do not remember. I probably paid, I don't know, $2 or $3 for them, but nobody was buying them. I had them on eBay for a long time, no interest, so I listed them for 5, and they sold. The next item, there's only 3 more, including this one. It was a trinket box. It was pewter, really pretty. And it was one of the items that was on those shelves at that estate sale the auction estate sale. Anyway, it had red velvet lining. There were etching on the inside of the lid, and the feet that were on the bottom of this heart were elephant heads. They were little heads of elephants. Super cute. It looked brand new. Anyway, it sold for 10. So yay. And this next item I have had listed for well over a year, probably close to 2. It was a little trinket jar with a pewter lid. Sold for 5. So I'm, finally someone bought it, And the last Facebook item was these wooden snowmen. It was a folding divider, and I got $5 for that. And I think that's what I paid for it. It was that woman, and we sat in her garage while she price checked everything. So all the Facebook stuff, again, sales were 170 minus my cost of goods, which is about 60, and so around $110 profit from Facebook. So between eBay and Facebook was 378, so close to 380, or no, 480. Duh. Yeah, close to 480 in profit from eBay and Facebook. So, but again, Facebook did so much better. It's slowed way down now because it's not Christmas anymore. People were shopping for last minute gifts. I know that's what happened, but it was really good timing. So I will do this again next year. I will go through my store, stuff that isn't selling, that could be considered, a potential Christmas gift. I will pull it from my eBay store when I put my store on vacation 10 days before Christmas, and I'll throw everything on Facebook Marketplace and just mark it down, and then people can come pick stuff up, and I don't have to deal with it, and I'll make some money, it worked out. So, let's see, that's my solds. I don't remember if there was anything else I was going to talk to you guys about. I think that's it. Oh, I feel like I'm forgetting something. Well, I told you I broke everything down pretty much. All right. I hope this video turns out. I really do not want to have to record this again. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that it all looks okay. Excuse my, what's going on. I still have not I haven't done my inventory. My back, weird things are going on. You guys know, if you saw my health update recently, it's just, I have not been feeling 100%. So, it is getting better since I quit taking that hydrochlorothiazide. I'll take it when I need it. Like if my ankles swell a little bit, I'll take it, but I don't want to take it every day. Not until I get this other stuff figured out. So, okay, I guess that's it. I hope you guys, this year has to be better. It has to be. There's just been enough. It's been enough. We've had enough. So, again, listen to that artist. See, I want to know what you guys think about him. When you first start watching it, you're going to be like, what is this? And why is she having us watch this? Because it's a little different, But once he gets going and it gets into it, then you'll understand the beginning of it. It all makes sense once you've seen it. I don't know. I don't want to say too much, just stick with it and really pay attention to the lyrics. They're very, very important. And he's just a master storyteller. He's like a modern day bard. Just an amazing kid, really talented. So, Happy New Year. Here's to a great year ahead for us. I'm going to be eating my pork and sauerkraut today because that's what we do on New Year's Day. And at least that's what my family has always done. So I'll be doing that, but and just kind of taking it easy. I got to get this edited now. So, which is like a 2-hour it's 2 hours easily. Putting the photos in and getting everything sized right. Okay. I will see you guys soon. Thanks for watching. Thanks for just the support. I'm sorry, my life is really quite boring now, so there's not a lot for me to talk to you guys about, so you don't see much of me, but I'm still here and I will catch up with you guys when I have something to tell you. So thanks for being here, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.